The Poncho Liner. For me, it evokes memories of waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, cold and clammy, slightly damp, on those Camp Pendleton hills. I recently watched a video by Jim Bob's Adventures and Kit. Jim Bob's Adventures and Kit. And I like watching his show, and he had some stuff about the Poncho Liner, so I thought I'd add my 2 cents worth. You get what you pay for. I'm Bill of the North. Stay with me as we explore the wonderful world of the Poncho Liner. The Poncho Liner is highly compressible and can be rolled up into a fairly small package. And these weigh approximately 1.5 pounds, although I've seen some sources claim 1.25 pounds or 1.75 pounds. Both of these together, though, weigh about 3 pounds together, so I'm going to go with 1.5 pounds. Now, one of these, I think, is a good adjunct for the weight for other insulation. Like if you're bringing a sleeping bag, this would be a good extra bit of insulation to bring along. But once you start carrying 2 or 3 of these things, I don't think the weight penalty is worth it. 2 poncho liners weighs about 3 pounds, and if you're lucky, that'll get you down to 50 degrees or so. This sleeping bag weighs about 2.5 pounds. And that'll get you down to 20 to 30 degrees. The trade-off, of course, is that this is a lot more expensive than the poncho liners. You may already have a couple of poncho liners, and maybe you don't want to spend the money on a good sleeping bag. Well, if these will do the job for you, use them. So my understanding is the poncho liner came out during the Vietnam era. I'm not sure if this one goes back that far, but this is the type we used in the 70s and 80s. I have added plastic snaps to mine, and the idea on that is just to help hold in the heat a little better rather than just with the ties. So on this one, the snaps and the ties on the bottom help form kind of a foot box, and then the rest of it just kind of goes together to form kind of an extreme lightweight sleeping bag. And with my testing, I probably would not want to use this in anything lower than about 60-degree temperatures. Although if you're wearing long underwear or other clothing, that would bring the temperature range down a little bit. This one in the UPC camo pattern, I made it a little simpler. I just put snaps along the edges on the bottom and the side so that the other one can fit inside of it, and I'll have a double layer of insulation. Although I still probably wouldn't want to get much below 50 or 55 in this. So we could take a look at this fortuitous rip in the fabric of our poncho liner to see what it's made of. It's got a very thin layer of polyester on the inside, which is the insulation. This actually feels thicker than I thought it would. And then it has a layer of nylon covering it all around. Problem is, the nylon tends to absorb humidity, and at least to me, it feels kind of damp and clammy against my skin. If you are wearing long underwear or pants, that's not a problem. Me, I like to sleep in shorts, so it is kind of annoying too. One of the good points of the poncho liner, though, is that it's very long, and I can get my feet in it and still have enough material left over on this end to pull it up. If it will cooperate, I can pull it up and wrap it around my shoulder or even my head if I need to. But width-wise, it's just not quite big enough. And when I'm in it, I've always got at least one arm and shoulder out. That's why a second layer works pretty good. But once again, you start running into weight penalties. So where I think the poncho liner really shines is as an extra layer of insulation. So for me, even in a sleeping bag, I usually will leave the top unzipped just so I get more shoulder room. But that means my arms are usually on the outside. So I could take the poncho liner and fold it over a couple of times, and I can get 4 or even 8 layers over me. And that makes the 1.5 pound weight worth it. I think even in the wintertime, this would do a good job of giving you that extra warmth. It's a raw, breezy 50-degree spring day. We will set up a hammock and see how the poncho liners fare under these conditions. I've got the war bonnet set up today with the sock over it, and it's actually not too bad. I've mainly got the poncho liner draped over me. I've got a sleep pad underneath me in the between the two layers of the hammock, and it's about 50 degrees out, a cloudy day, so there's not really any sun to speak of. It pokes through some of the thin spots in the clouds slightly, but not really. So there's a little bit of warming, but not a whole lot. I have the other poncho liner just serving as a pillow at the moment. I thought I was going to need it, but now I'm not so sure. Maybe definitely I would need it if I was trying to sleep out overnight, and even that might not be adequate under these temperatures, but we'll just see what happens here in a little while, how I feel. Maybe I have underestimated the poncho liner under these circumstances. I'm used to, you know, having one poncho liner tied up inside of a poncho, wrapping up in it, and as I've shown you before, I don't quite fit. An arm, shoulder sticks out, and then I wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning on a cold, clammy, wet Camp Pendleton morning. not very comfortable, having gotten maybe 4 or 5 hours of rest. Obviously, we don't have to comply with those conditions anymore. As free men and women, we can do what we want with our poncho liners. So you can see there how little of the poncho is actually on top of my body. It's tucked around on the sides, but if I needed a double layer, I could have just folded this in half and laid it over me, blanket style, and I probably could have still tucked around under my legs. But so you can do a double layer on this. There's no reason in a hammock to be laying on top of your insulation because it gets crushed down. This is mostly around the sides just to keep it airtight and to hold it down, hold it in place. So if I were to put the other poncho over top of me now, I could double that up and I'd have 3 layers over me. And I could probably make 4 layers if I really wanted to, if I tried hard enough. And that could bring down the useful temperature quite a bit. Maybe well into the 20s, or correction, maybe well into the 40s or even the 30s. The material on the sock feels cold to the touch, so maybe it's not getting any heat from the sun and it's all my body heat building up. If that's the case, that's even better, because you imagine how warm it would be with the sun out. Ooh. So, all right, more experimentation is in order. I have to come out here when it's dark, I guess. I have to sleep in it. And I did, but temperatures were in the 60s that night, and the heat built up inside the bivy from my body heat. I had a sweatshirt on. I ended up having to unzip everything and take the sweatshirt off, and just one layer of that poncho liner was just too much. It was too hot, so it was not a good test of it. It's a far cry from laying on the ground wrapped up in a poncho and a poncho liner and a colder night with a lot of dew. So I'm going to have to try this again when it's colder out, but it's a good thing. It's good information to have. Who knows, maybe a single poncho liner in a bivy sack is more than adequate. Let's hear your experiences, please. Thanks for watching.